In the darkest corners of the United Nations Security Council chamber, screens flickered to life, casting an eerie blue glow across the faces of Earth's most powerful leaders. The transmission from the Galactic Council appeared without warning, a cascade of crystalline beings, their translucent forms shimmering with internal light. They spoke with voices like chiming bells, delivering what they clearly thought would be humanity's death sentence. Species 42-7, designation humans, the lead council member announced, your civilization has been deemed too volatile for continued independent existence. You will submit to immediate oversight and genetic modification to ensure compliance with galactic peace protocols. Ambassador Sarah Chen gripped the podium until her knuckles turned white, but her voice remained steady as steel. And if we refuse? The question hung in the air like a drawn blade. The crystalline beings rippled with what might have been amusement. Refusal is not an option. We have observed your species for centuries. Your wars, your destruction of natural resources, your dangerous technological progression. The Council's decision is final. What the Galactic Council didn't understand, what no advanced species had ever understood, was humanity's absolute refusal to bow before tyrants, no matter how technologically superior they claimed to be. They expected submission. Instead, they got Project Prometheus. For 50 years, Earth's greatest minds had worked in secret, preparing for this very moment, deep beneath the Antarctic ice, in hidden facilities across the Sahara, and in orbital stations disguised as debris humanity had been building. The Council thought they knew everything about us. They were wrong. Initiating Defense Protocol Alpha, General Rodriguez announced, his weathered face illuminated by emergency lighting as bunkers worldwide hummed to life. All stations, commence Operation Firewall. The Council's shock was visible even through their alien features as Earth's atmosphere itself began to change. Quantum shields, reverse engineered from crashed alien tech and enhanced by human ingenuity, flickered into existence. Every satellite in orbit transformed, revealing weapons platforms that had been hiding in plain sight for decades. Impossible, the Council leaders sputtered, their crystalline form fracturing with distress. Your species cannot possess this level of technology. Our surveys were exactly what we wanted you to see, Sarah cut in, allowing herself a small smile. You watched us, yes, but we were watching you too, learning, preparing. Humanity will not be subjugated. The chamber erupted in chaos as reports flooded in from around the globe. The Council's cloaked ships, positioned to begin their peacekeeping mission, found themselves trapped by gravitational fields they couldn't understand. Technology they thought primitive was systematically dismantling their most advanced systems. This is humanity's formal response to the Galactic Council, Sarah declared, her voice carrying the weight of every human who had ever dreamed of the stars. We reject your authority. We reject your judgment, and we are prepared to demonstrate exactly why underestimating humanity is the last mistake many have made. The Council's transmission stuttered as their ship's systems continued to fail. Their perfect crystalline forms seemed to crack with rage and disbelief. You cannot hope to stand against the combined might of the Galactic Council. We will. The transmission cut off mid-threat as Earth's quantum shields reached full power. In orbit, the Council's mighty fleet hummed motionless, ensnared by human ingenuity and determination. But this was just the beginning. The real war was about to start, and humanity had a few more surprises in store for their would-be overlords. As emergency sirens wailed across the globe, Sarah looked at the blank screen where the Council's faces had been. They thought we were primitive, she whispered. They're about to learn just how wrong they were. The next 48 hours became a testament to humanity's preparation and resilience. As the Council's fleet hung powerless above Earth's major cities, their crystalline crews trapped within their own vessels, the true scope of Project Prometheus began to unfold. In the depths of the Mariana Command Center, Dr. Alexandra Torres studied holographic displays showing the disabled alien ships. Her life's work, quantum entanglement barriers that could trap even the most advanced FTL drives, had performed beyond expectations. But she knew better than to celebrate too early. They're already trying to adapt, she reported, watching energy patterns shift within the captured vessels. The Council isn't as helpless as they appear. General Rodriguez nodded grimly, his eyes fixed on the tactical displays. That's exactly what we expected. Begin Phase 2. With those words, hidden facilities across Earth sprang into action, launching thousands of microsatellites. Each one carried a fraction of humanity's most closely guarded secret, the ability to disrupt the very fabric of space-time. The Council had made one crucial mistake in their assessment of humanity. They assumed our scattered wars and conflicts were signs of weakness, proof of our species' instability. They never considered that each battle, each technological advance, each seemingly primitive step was carefully orchestrated to hide our true capabilities. "We're detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the Kuiper Belt," announced Captain Lisa Chen from her station. "Looks like the Council's backup has arrived." The holographic displays lit up with hundreds of new contacts, the full might of the Galactic Council's armada, rushing to salvage their failed subjugation attempt. Sarah Chen watched from the UN chamber as reports flooded in from observation posts throughout the solar system. "They still think we're trapped on Earth," she said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "They haven't found our colonies on Mars or Europa yet." The secret had been kept for nearly 2 decades. While the Council watched Earth's primitive space program struggle with basic rocket technology, hundreds of thousands of humans had already been relocated to underground bases across the solar system. Every failed launch, every public setback had been carefully staged to maintain the illusion of technological inadequacy. In the Lunar Command bunker, Chief Engineer David Parker activated systems that had waited years for this moment. "Quantum grid is online," he reported. "Gravity manipulation fields are ready. We can proceed with the Temple Protocol whenever you give the word." The Temple Protocol, humanity's ultimate insurance policy. Named after the ancient strategist Sun Tzu's teachings about appearing weak when strong, it represented technology so advanced that even the Council's sensors couldn't detect it. Technology that could rewrite the rules of physics itself. "Multiple Council ships are attempting to breach the quantum barriers," Dr. Torres announced, her fingers flying over holographic controls. "They're using something new, some kind of phase-shifted energy we haven't seen before." General Rodriguez's expression remained calculated. "Let them think they're making progress. The more resources they commit to the attack, the more effective our response will be." As if in answer to his words, the first Council ship managed to break through the outer layer of Earth's defenses. Their crystalline communication began broadcasting again, this time to every screen and device on the planet. "Your resistance is impressive, humans," the Council leader's voice rang out, though their tone had lost some of its previous condescension. "But you have merely delayed the inevitable. Submit now, and we may still show mercy." Sarah stepped forward, her voice carrying the determination of her entire species. "You still don't understand what you're dealing with," she responded. "This isn't resistance. This is just the beginning." In orbit, thousands of microsatellites began to pulse with strange energy, and the true nature of Project Prometheus prepared to reveal itself to an unsuspecting galaxy. The microsatellites began to pulse in perfect synchronization, their energy signatures merging into a singular, overwhelming force. The Council's massive fleet, now numbering in the thousands, suddenly found themselves caught in a web of quantum distortions that defied their understanding of physics itself. "Temple Protocol at 70% capacity," David Parker reported from Lunar Command, his voice steady despite the sweat beading on his forehead. "The quantum matrix is stable, but we're detecting unusual fluctuations in the barrier field." On his screens, the fabric of space itself seemed to bend and twist, creating patterns that shouldn't have been possible. In the Mariana Command Center, Dr. Torres' eyes widened as she analyzed the incoming data. The Council ships, they're attempting to merge their crystalline structures. They're becoming something bigger. The holographic display showed the enemy vessels literally flowing together, their crystalline forms combining into a massive, shimmering entity that dwarfed anything humanity had encountered before. "This is beyond our simulations," General Rodriguez muttered, studying the tactical displays with growing concern. The combined Council entity was generating energy readings that threatened to overwhelm their sensors. Dr. Torres, What happens if they bring that thing to full power? Before she could answer, the massive crystalline structure pulsed with blinding light. Energy cascaded through Earth's defensive shields, creating ripples of distortion visible even from the ground. Millions looked up to see the sky itself seeming to crack like broken glass. Multiple breaches detected in the quantum barrier. Lisa Chen's voice cut through the chaos. They're targeting our orbital defense platforms. Around the Earth, the carefully hidden weapon systems that had protected humanity began to fail, their power systems overloaded by the Council's combined assault. Sarah Chen watched from the UN chamber as humanity's first line of defense crumbled. But instead of fear, a slight smile crossed her face. "Send the signal," she ordered. "Activate the Lazarus Protocol." Deep beneath the ice of Europa, hidden reactors hummed to life. On Mars, massive installations hidden beneath the red soil powered up, their energy signatures finally revealing themselves to the stunned Council sensors. Humanity's hidden colonies weren't just evacuation points. They were weapon platforms on a scale the galaxy had never seen. Lazarus Protocol initiated, David Parker confirmed. All solar system installations are synchronized. But Ambassador, he hesitated, if we do this, there's no going back. The energy release could reshape the entire solar system. The massive Council entity seemed to sense the change, its attack faltering as it detected the unprecedented power surge from across the solar system. Their transmission cut through all frequencies, their once confident voice now tinged with something that sounded almost like fear. "What is this?" the Council demanded. "This level of technology, it should not be possible. Your species cannot have advanced this far without our knowledge." Dr. Torres looked up from her readings, her face pale. "The power levels are exceeding our models. If the Council entity maintains its current form when Lazarus reaches full capacity," she left the sentence unfinished, but everyone understood the implications. "All personnel, prepare for final sequence," General Rodriguez announced, his voice carrying to every human installation across the solar system. "This is what we've prepared for. This is humanity's moment." As the Lazarus Protocol reached its apex, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. The combined might of humanity's hidden technology stood ready to clash with the full power of the Galactic Council's merged form. In that moment, the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Sarah Chen stood at the podium one final time, her words carrying the weight of humanity's future. "You wanted to see what humanity was truly capable of," she addressed the Council. "I suggest you brace yourselves." Just as the Lazarus Protocol reached critical mass, every sensor array across the solar system detected something impossible. A second quantum signature, far larger than the Council entity, emerging from what appeared to be a tear in space itself. The void between Mars and Jupiter split open like a cosmic wound, revealing a swirling vortex of energy that dwarfed even the combined Council fleet. "Unknown vessel emerging." Lisa Chen's voice cracked with tension. "Energy signature. It's beyond anything in our database." The holographic displays struggled to render the massive shape that emerged, a ship that seemed to be built from fragments of dead stars, its surface rippling with dark energy. Dr. Torres' hands flew across her console, eyes wide with disbelief. "That's impossible." The quantum signatures. "They're human." The revelation hit the command center like a physical force. This wasn't Council technology. This wasn't even from their time. "Message incoming," David Parker announced from Lunar Command, his voice barely a whisper. "You're not going to believe this. They're broadcasting in English." The message echoed through every communication channel, in a voice that carried the weight of centuries. "To the United Forces of Earth, this is Admiral Chen of the Temporal Defense Fleet, year 2487. Stay your weapons. What comes next must be handled with precision." Sarah Chen felt her knees go weak as she recognized the voice. It was her own, aged by decades but unmistakable. The future had arrived to meet the present, and nothing in Project Prometheus had prepared them for this. The Council entity's crystalline form flickered with visible confusion. "Temporal manipulation. Your species has breached the barriers of time itself." For the first time, genuine fear colored their unified voice. The Council's attempt to subjugate Earth was never about our present capabilities. Future Sarah's voice explained. They feared what we would become. What we have become. The very act of their invasion created the timeline that led to our mastery of temporal mechanics. In the Mariana Command Center, Dr. Torres' sensors began registering catastrophic distortions in the space-time continuum. The temporal ship's presence is creating cascading quantum effects. If we proceed with the Lazarus Protocol now, it would shatter this entire sector of space. Future Sarah finished. That's precisely what happened in our timeline. Billions died, and the galaxy spent centuries recovering. We're here to prevent that future, but we need your help to create a better one. The Council entity suddenly began to pulse with intense energy, its crystalline structure growing even larger. We will not allow this, their unified voice boomed. The timeline must be preserved. The humans must be contained. Multiple temporal ruptures detected. Lisa Chen shouted. They're calling reinforcements from across time itself. Council ships from multiple timelines are converging on our position. General Rodri is watched as the tactical display filled with thousands of new signatures. Council ships from past and future timelines, all answering their own desperate call to contain humanity's potential. In orbit, the massive temporal ship moved into position between Earth and the Council forces. This is the moment, Future Sarah announced. The point where everything changes, but the choice must be yours. The present must decide its own fate. Sarah Chen looked up at the screen showing the impossible battle about to unfold. Humanity's present forces, their future selves, and a Council army gathered from across time itself. The next few moments would determine not just Earth's fate, but the very nature of causality itself. The Lazarus Protocol is still active, David Parker reminded them. But if what they're saying is true, using it would doom billions. We need to make a decision. Now. The quantum barriers began to buckle as Council ships from a dozen different timelines launched their assault. Time itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for humanity's choice that would reshape not just their future, but their past as well. Sarah Chen looked at the tactical displays, watching Council ships from multiple timelines converging on Earth, and made her decision. Divert all power from the Lazarus Protocol, she commanded. Redirect it to the quantum shields. We're not going to destroy the galaxy to save it. Future Sarah's voice carried a note of approval. Initiating Temporal Lock Protocol. Dr. Torres, synchronize your quantum matrices with our ship. Together, we can contain the timeline fractures. In the Mariana Command Center, Dr. Torres' fingers danced across her console, aligning Earth's defense systems with the future technology. The effect was immediate. Streams of coherent quantum energy began flowing between the microsatellites, creating a web of temporal stability that trapped the Council ships in a single time stream. You dare? The Council entity's unified voice boomed, their crystalline form pulsing with rage. We have seen the futures where humanity spreads across the galaxy, contaminating everything with chaos and free will. We cannot allow. Their transmission cut off as the temporal web tightened. One by one, the Council ships from alternate timelines began vanishing, forced back to their own periods by the combined power of humanity's present and future technology. Something's wrong, Lisa Chen called out suddenly. The temporal ship, it's beginning to fade. On the main display, the massive vessel from 2487 was becoming transparent, its hull rippling like a mirage in the desert. The timeline is changing, Future Sarah explained, her voice growing distant. By preventing the catastrophe, we're erasing our own future, including ourselves. But this was always the plan, the sacrifice we chose to make. The Council entity, now alone in the present timeline, launched a desperate final assault. Energy beams capable of shattering planets lashed out at Earth's defenses. But as they struck the quantum shields, something unprecedented happened. The shields aren't just blocking their attack, Dr. Torres gasped. They're reflecting it. The temporal stabilization is creating a quantum mirror effect. The Council's own energy began flowing back into their crystalline form, but changed, transformed by its interaction with the quantum field. The massive entity started to crack, lines of light spreading across its surface like a breaking mirror. What have you done? The council's voice wavered, their unified consciousness beginning to fragment. This power, it's changing us. We're becoming. The crystalline structure exploded in a flash of blinding light. When the glare faded, the council ships remained, but transformed. Their crystalline forms had become organic, pulsing with life rather than cold precision. The quantum reflection didn't destroy them. Future Sarah's fading voice explained. It evolved them, showed them what they've been missing all these centuries, the beauty of chaos, the power of change, the gift of mortality. As the temporal ship finally vanished, the transformed council ships hung motionless in space. A new voice, somehow both familiar and alien, transmitted across all frequencies. We understand now. What we feared in humanity was what we had lost in ourselves, the ability to grow, to change, to choose. Sarah Chen stepped forward one last time. And what choice do you make now? The response came not as words, but as actions. One by one, the council ships descended into Earth's atmosphere, their organic forms shifting and changing, taking on shapes that could walk among humans as equals rather than rulers. In the Mariana Command Center, Dr. Torres watched in amazement as her sensors detected the final quantum anomaly resolving itself. The timeline has stabilized, she reported, but it's different, better. The sun rose over a changed Earth, its light falling on humans and former council members walking together through cities that blended organic crystal with steel and stone. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed their would-be conquerors into allies. And somewhere in the quantum fabric of space-time, an echo of future Sarah's voice carried her final message. Remember, the greatest victory isn't defeating your enemy. It's showing them a better way to live. General Rodriguez looked out over the changed world and smiled. Well, he said, I guess it's time to rewrite the history books. Again, 1 month after the transformation of the Council, Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The crystalline beings who had once sought to subjugate humanity now walked among them, their organic forms adapting and evolving daily as they embraced the very chaos they had once feared. In the rebuilt United Nations chamber, now featuring a stunning blend of human architecture and living crystal, Sarah Chen stood before representatives of both species. The integration process has exceeded all expectations, she reported, watching the former council members shift their colors in agreement. Our combined knowledge has already led to breakthroughs in medicine, environmental restoration, and sustainable energy. Dr. Torres had established a joint research facility in Antarctica, where human scientists worked alongside their former enemies to understand the quantum principles that had changed everything. The most fascinating discovery, she explained to General Rodriguez during his inspection, is that they were never truly crystalline at all. Their rigid structure was a choice, a deliberate surrender of evolutionary potential in exchange for what they thought was perfection. The transformed council beings had shared their own revelation. Their species had once been as diverse and changeable as humanity, but fear of chaos had led them to literally crystallize their form and society. The quantum reflection had not just changed their bodies, it had awakened ancient memories of who they used to be. In orbit, the combined Human Council Space Program was already preparing for its first joint mission beyond the solar system. The quantum barrier technology that had protected Earth was being adapted into a new form of faster-than-light travel, one that worked in harmony with space-time rather than forcing its way through it. We were wrong about humanity, the being who had once led the council admitted to Sarah during a quiet moment in the New Delhi Gardens. Its form shifted like flowing mercury as it spoke, reflecting its emotions. We saw your conflicts, your struggles, your constant change as weakness. We never understood that this was your strength. The Project Prometheus facilities were being converted into learning centers, where both species could study and grow together. The temporal knowledge from the future that never was had faded like a dream, but it left behind a crucial lesson. The most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology or temporal manipulation, but the ability to change and adapt. General Rodriguez finally retired, passing leadership to a joint Human Council Defense Force. During his farewell ceremony, he shared a truth that had become clear to everyone. We prepared for war but found transformation. We expected to fight for our survival but ended up fighting for our shared future instead. The microsatellites that had once been weapons now formed a network of communication and exploration, their quantum technologies repurposed to seek out other civilizations that might benefit from the lesson both humanity and the former council had learned. Sarah Chen kept the recordings of her future self's final moments, not as a reminder of what was prevented, but as a testament to the power of choice. The timeline where billions died had been averted not through superior firepower, but through the courage to choose a different path. As Earth's first joint expedition prepared to launch, carrying humans and transformed council members to the stars, Dr. Torres made one final entry in her research log. The greatest discovery wasn't the quantum technology or even the temporal mechanics. It was the understanding that true strength lies not in resisting change, but in embracing it. In the end, we didn't just save ourselves, we saved each other. The sun set on a transformed solar system, its light playing across the organic crystal structures that now complemented Earth's cities. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but fundamentally changed. They had learned that the most powerful evolution wasn't of technology or bodies, but of understanding. And somewhere, in the quantum fabric of reality, the echo of a future that never was faded away, replaced by the promise of something far better, a future built not on dominance, but on transformation.